My name is Lou Johnson, and this is my story. So, grew up with Christian parents. I'm one of 6 kids, 4 boys, 2 girls. Grew up in the Newcastle, Wilmington area. Went to high school here in Delaware, and growing up, I hung around a lot of hooligans. You know, just a typical blue-collar neighborhood. Hung around a lot of guys that stole things, sold drugs, and me being with them, naturally I did the same things that they did. Through junior high, it was pretty much that life. That was my life. It was parties, doing drugs, selling drugs, girls. Throughout high school was pretty much the same. When I got to college, I met up with a guy who was so entrenched in selling drugs that when I would come home to Delaware, I went to college in North Carolina. When I would come home to Delaware, I was involved in helping this guy sell drugs up and down from North Carolina to Delaware. And it got pretty intense to the point where I had a preferred card from Western Union because of the money that was going back and forth. This guy ended up getting arrested. I never saw him again. And it was around that time that I felt a lot of strange things happening in my life. And by strange, I mean, I felt a pull away from those things. I can't really, like, even now as I think about it, I look back, I know that it was definitely supernatural. But I remember specifically just feeling this huge emptiness in the things that I was involved in and the people that I was around. Specifically, one moment that I remember, a bunch of us had went down to a Greek picnic in Atlanta, Georgia, and we had spent all night drinking, doing drugs, and there was one particular moment at night where we were just out in the middle of the highway taking pictures with all of these girls and just wild. And I just remember feeling like, is this all that there is? Like, is this going to be the rest of my life? And I didn't understand that. Like, I didn't understand where that was coming from. I started to develop a hunger for the Bible. Found myself reading the Bible ridiculously. I would read the Bible for 8-9 hours a day. Whenever I could, I just couldn't get enough of it. And I'll never forget, as I was struggling with this life, I remember waking up one morning in a drunken stupor, just bottles everywhere, all over my apartment bedroom. And I remember hearing this question just in my head, like not an audible voice, but just this question, just literally asking me, is this all you want? And that it burned a hole in me. Like I didn't understand where it was coming from, but it shook me. Like I could not get that question out of my head, and it started to make me question my life, question the things that I was doing, the people that I was around. And I started to pray. I started to find myself speaking to God, even though I didn't really fully understand who or what He was, and things started to happen that I could not explain. Like prayers would be answered in ways that were just foreign to me. Things were happening. So during this time, I met a young lady named Keisha, at the bank that I was working at. And she loved to party like I did. And we partied. And 7 months into our relationship, we had a baby boy. And I was privileged and blessed to have that baby boy for 3 months. I woke up one morning and my son was dead. That was a turning point for us. Even though I was searching and I really didn't understand exactly what God was doing, that was a time, that was a line of demarcation for me. That was the rubber meets the road. Like, do you really believe what you're reading? You know, I started reading things about how all men were sinners and how the only way to get right with this sin was to lay it down and totally place their trust in Jesus Christ and to totally just cast all of it before him. And it shook me. You know, I realized that the people that I was around, things that I was doing, the things that I was struggling with, these were not the people that God wanted me to be around. These were not the struggles that he wanted me to have. He didn't want me living this life anymore. He was calling me out. And again, I was 20 years old, now 44. I was a young man when he first called me, and looking back now, it's so clear. We buried Elijah, and I never looked back. I gave my life to Jesus, and I got involved with several ministries in the church. Been in the prison ministry for 20 years, over 20 years now. Praise God. And my wife and I have been walking with Jesus now for over 20 years. We've been married. We just celebrated our 20th anniversary on August 5th. Very thankful for that. But that is my story. That slow call that the Lord placed in my life to get me to question the things that I was doing and who I was with and where I was going. And then taking our son home. He used all of those things in his providence to draw me to him, because I was headed in one direction and he was trying to draw me out into another direction, and he did that. That is my story, and I'm grateful to him for what he's done in our lives and continues to do. And again, I'll tell everyone who will listen that Jesus saved my life. My name is Lou Johnson, and this is my story.